Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 9. Is that even professional? Because what's really going on with professionalism these days? We have some people who believe that Gen Zs are the most unprofessional people in the world, and then we have other people who are enjoying the shift, and we have some people who just need to deepen their understanding of what professionalism really is. So, in this episode, I'm going to take the time to define what professionalism is, and I'm going to talk about some of my experiences to help paint a better picture. But really, this episode is going to serve as a roadmap to help you determine if you consider yourself professional or not, and it's also going to help to navigate a clear path forward. So, with that said, grab your green tea and let's get started. Hey guys, so I'm on a lot of drugs today, so sorry if I sound a little crazy. That's how one of the university leadership professors facilitated a conversation with their students. That student being me. How professional, am I right? And the funniest part is that this came from a leadership professor. You know, the ones that are supposed to lead and direct students as to how to behave professionally in a work environment. And so this was exactly one of the experiences that really wanted me to, go out there and talk about what professionalism really is and steer people in the right direction. But the thing is that it's not even the case that people are super unprofessional or even too professional. It's actually just the case that the term professionalism is misunderstood. So let's take a second to define what professionalism really is. So, to me, professionalism is an image that you maintain in order to maximize your potential to be taken seriously or sincerely in any given setting. And something to note is that I'm not using the words seriously and sincerely interchangeably, but I am using them together, okay? And so, how do you do that? So, we do that with the way that we present ourselves, we do that with the way we communicate in a professional setting, the way we dress, and even our work ethics, right? And do I think that professionalism is necessary? I 100% do think that it's necessary. And because I say this, you might be wondering, well, isn't that against your value of authenticity? And my answer to that is no, it's actually not. Because authenticity has a lot to do with your personality and your personality traits. And it's actually 100% possible to express your personality while still maintaining professionalism. I actually feel that a lot of our generation, so Gen Z, or even a lot of other generations, think that professionalism and authenticity are on the same scale, is because of the way that professionalism is perceived in our society. So what I noticed through multiple networking events and just being around people in corporate was that professionalism is actually misunderstood for formalism. So, to even define formalism, I would say that it's unnecessary or forced ritualistic behavior. So, the way you speak to the way you act that actually create awkward social interaction. And so it makes people seem like super robotic or super fake, and not even the two extremes. It can also just make people seem not genuine, right? And here's a funny example that actually I lived out that helped me realize the difference. So a while ago, I was eating pizza with a work team, and what they do is they immediately grab their forks and knives to cut into the pizza. And in my head, I just thought that that's so unnatural. Like, who eats pizza with forks and knives? In my head, that's what I said. And so instead, what I did was I grabbed it with my hand and I bit into the pizza. And it's not until that moment that people were like, oh, you know what? She's got the right idea. And they put their forks and knives down and they ate pizza with their hands as well. And this is when I realized that people are actually not comfortable in their own skins. And this is because they're confusing professionalism for formalism. And if you think about it, eating pizza without a fork and knife, it actually shouldn't have an impact on people perceiving you seriously or not. Because in this specific context, it was actually just unnecessary. And if you ask me, even a bit of a waste of utensils. So, even simple things like this, it's what takes away from people's authenticity. And this is why I classify it as formalism, not professionalism. On a more serious note, let's talk about some of the true damage that can be done from unprofessional behavior. So, for example, that leadership professor that I was talking about in the beginning. If you were on the other end of this Zoom call, and this is how this leadership professor came onto the Zoom call, how would you perceive them? Well, first of all, I would notice that they're not taking the meeting seriously. I would also realize that they're not actually adding any meaningful content to this meeting and they're constantly going on tangents. I would honestly also feel a little bit disrespected, right? Because they came on to a meeting that was supposed to be a sincere professional meeting between two individuals, but instead she didn't take the meeting seriously. And I would definitely consider her a poor role model and an unreliable professor. So in this case, I would classify this behavior as a lack of professionalism because this is impacting her ability to perform as a professor, and it's also impacting the way that she's representing the company that she works with. Here's actually another very interesting experience that I had that blew me away as I was living it. So I was on call with one of the professors who wanted to invest in my podcast, and he suddenly starts gossiping about other students in my cohort. And the thing is, this isn't productive feedback, nor is there a good purpose for it, because if it was feedback, then it would only be useful if the students were present during that meeting, right? And this would be classified as unprofessional behavior. Because, first of all, it diminishes trust. If you think about it, if he is saying so many things behind their back to me, I could only imagine how many things he's saying behind my back, you know? It actually also shows a lack of respect because, as a professor, he's supposed to be a sort of mentor and supposed to support students and help them improve. But instead, what he's doing is he's gossiping about them behind their back. It also shows a lack of integrity and just pure childishness. And I don't mean to use the word childishness as, like an insult, because in fact, I've seen children who are so much more mature and caring and empathetic towards people. I'm just using it because it's a word that's used in our society. But not only that, it could have also disrupted some of the collaborative dynamics of the cohort, right? If you think about it. And overall, this would be unprofessional because he's representing an organization and he's poorly representing the organization, as this kind of behavior only damages the reputation. Something that I did notice about professionalism that raises concern is how there's different standards for both men and women. We can take a look at communication, for example. To be professional as a woman in our society, it means to be super polite, less assertive, and super accommodating, right? And if we express assertiveness or we're a bit direct, we're told that we're too aggressive or too strong. Another thing can even be the fact that we're called emotional and we're accused to be unprofessional as a result. Even appearance wise, women are held to much, much higher standards than men. And the interesting thing is that appearance is a factor that's been so ingrained in our society that we start to doubt somebody's credibility just based on the way that they dress. If they have valuable information and they're dressed in a t-shirt and track pants instead of a blazer and dress pants, their value and credibility suddenly diminishes. A living example of this is Kathleen Martinez, and for those of you who don't know, she's a lawyer who was told by one of her male colleagues that she needs to dress conservatively in order to be taken seriously. And instead, what she does is she actually rejects the notion that professionalism is tied to some sort of a stereotypical look. And what she does is she go out in bold prints, vibrant colors, and just everything that screams who she really is authentically. So, what does this show? This actually shows that there's no correlation between form and function. And in fact, credibility is about the substance that you bring to the table. It's not about what you look like while you do so. So, using her as inspiration, what are some actionable things that we can do to help challenge this norm? So, I really believe that people who have more experienced titles in organizations, if they were to come out and, not dress like a stereotypical professional person in this male dominated industry, then I think it would definitely help to break the stigma and move the needle. So, with that, I'd say that a key takeaway is that professionalism is oftentimes confused for formalism and giving up individuality and authenticity. So, the last thing I do have to say is that stay true to yourself while doing your job and do it to the best of your abilities. And I'll see you guys next time.
This program is meant for entertainment purposes only. It is not meant to replace any educational programs or represent a professional coaching program. All examples provided by the author and speaker are purely anecdotal and are not meant to represent any institutions or companies in affiliation with the creator.